Hi, hello. I skipped through the last two episodes of 100 Memories. I couldn't do it. I couldn't sit through freaking 4 hours of this show. I couldn't do it. The last two episodes were like an hour and a half. It's like, okay, it's not 4 hours, not 3 hours. But I was like, I don't care. I don't even like this show that much. I don't care to even finish it. I used to be super like a huge stickler on finishing dramas. I've gotten to the point where I've watched so many that I'm like, if I don't like it, I'm not gonna finish it and I'm just gonna move on with my life. But this show, I don't even know. I don't even know what they were trying to do. Because the show advertises itself kind of as like a female friendship that's like interrupted, if you will, by a man. And then it's like, where are we going to stand? So basically, here's your three main characters. You've got Young-rae, Jung-hee, and Jae-pil. Young-rae and Jung-hee are best friends, okay? They're the two girls. They met. They're best friends. Great female friendship. Jae-pil's over here. Yeah. As far as male leads go, underwhelming to say the least. And that's not the actor. I actually really liked the actor, so I was really excited to see him in like a main role. I didn't like his character. I never liked his character. He grew on me at certain moments. Like I was like, oh, okay, I can kind of vibe with this guy or whatever. For the most part though, didn't like him. He's just annoying. Like he just annoyed me. And so in the beginning, Young-rae likes Jae-pil first, okay? Jae-pil does not like her in the first part of the timeline, if you will, because they do a time jump in the second part of the show. So in the first part of the show, when they're like 19, he doesn't like her. He likes Jung-hee. Jung-hee, here's the thing. Oh my gosh. I will say this. I think the character gets way too much criticism. I think both female characters get either way too much praise or way too much criticism. And it's kind of like, I don't really think either character is that bad or that toxic. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, Jung-hee's the worst character ever. She's so selfish. She's such a terrible person. Young-rae is the best ever. Or you get the opposite of like, Jung-hee's the best. Young-rae sucks. I'm like, neither is terrible. Both girls are flawed characters that are written a certain way. They seem to have given Jung-hee a lot more hardship, and Young-rae seems to get a lot more, but I don't think that necessarily means that one character is better than the other. That was just the way they wrote the show, and I think both actresses did a good job for what it was, and I don't think that the characters deserve to get absolutely crapped on the way they did. More hate to Jae-pil, please, because he was not interesting. He was not interesting to have two dynamic, beautiful women be in love with him. Let's just say that. Okay, so that's how the show starts. Young-rae likes Jae-pil. Jae-pil does not like Young-rae. He likes Jung-hee. Jung-hee and him date. This was the part that pissed me off because they were like, oh my gosh, they're in love and they're together. And I was like, when did they decide to date? I didn't think that they were even a couple. I thought that there was like a sort of mutual interest, which, here's another thing that annoyed me so much about the show was that there's a conversation that Jung-hee and Young-rae have. And Young-rae essentially is like prompting Jung-hee to be like, but you like him. And then Jung-hee's like, do I like him? And I was like, girl, you didn't even like him to begin with. You weren't even sure how you felt about him. And then because of your friend, suddenly you now like him. And their relationship never felt authentic. Jung-hee and Jae-pil never made sense because there wasn't, like, they had a lot of shared trauma, but there wasn't a lot of follow through on anything in their relationship. And when she breaks up with him, it feels very weird. And the thing is, the girls are very self-sacrificing for each other to begin with. Young-rae gave up on Jae-pil and didn't confess, which that's a whole nother thing. I was like, girl, you waited too long to tell him you liked him. And for that mediocre man, you could have told him way earlier. Anyways, so she never told Jae-pil she liked him. And then Young-rae, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, the names. Young-rae never told Jae-pil she liked him. And then Jung-hee and Jae-pil dated, and then they broke up. And Jung-hee broke up with Jae-pil because she knew that Young-rae liked him, and she was like, I'm just gonna... Which, again, didn't, make total sense, but it was like, I guess she's being a good friend, so whatever. And then, because of circumstances, and I just realized I probably already dished all this out when I was first talking about the show. I don't care. I'm saying it again. So Jung-hee then had to leave because of circumstances, because the show is dramatic and whatever. So then you do a time jump. Young-rae and Jae-pil are friends and have been really close. And everyone's like, are they dating? Are they not? We can't tell. This is where the show really started to piss me off. Because you're telling me that in 7 freaking years, Jae-pil never thought of Young-rae as a romantic option until other men started being interested in her. And I complained about this in my last video. This trope can only work sometimes, and in this show, it didn't work, and it sickened me, frankly. I was so irritated with this character. I was like, you're an idiot who doesn't just open his stupid eyes and go, oh my gosh, maybe I do like Young-rae, this person that I've relied on for 7 years. It took him so long to realize he liked her. I was like, gross. I'm not into that. I don't need a male lead who's so oblivious to his feelings, apparently. And the big complaint about this show too was like, they did not show us enough of moments for where it would have like made sense that he fell for her at all. It kind of made sense that she liked him. They kept that, like, her liking him from the beginning was a constant trope that never went away. Him, we never saw anything. We never saw him suddenly. It was just like suddenly he was like, oh, I guess you're good enough, I'll take you. Because then Jung-hee comes back into the story. Jung-hee still wants Jae-pil, which again is a whole separate thing of like, why? Why do you want this man? He's like boring as heck and obviously has some unexplained feelings for your best friend. So that was weird. So once they brought the girls back together, it was like they were friends, but then the show kind of went in a weird route where they kind of like had them be like, not like rivals actually, but it was just a little less like best friend and a little more like, ooh, it's kind of some weird emotions. Like, you like the same guy I like, but you want him for some reason. But then Young-rae finally told Jung-hee that she liked Jae-pil, which, I mean, technically, what's her name? Jung-hee already kind of knew that, but at least in the past she knew that she liked him. Also, oh, this is another thing. Okay, this and this is such a small thing, but it actually annoyed me a lot. When Young-rae and Jae-pil finally decide to freaking confess to each other, Young-rae doesn't even get a chance to physically say she likes him. He just kisses her. And I don't mind an interrupted love confession. I'm kind of into that. I'm like, it's kind of a fun trope. I don't hate it. In this case, I hated it because I was like, this girl for the last like 15, 20 years practically at this point couldn't just bother to finally get the words out. It was kind of annoying. I was like, Jae-pil, hold on. Can she just say it? And it was also just like a directional from the director that I didn't like because it made Young-rae feel like she was just this girl bebopping around like, oh, I'm in love with him, I love him, but never doing anything about it. And it was like, hey girl, just say it. And then when she finally is about to say it, the freaking man kisses her first. I didn't like it. It just reinforced the annoying trope of like, he didn't even notice her, and then suddenly he notices her, and then he finally decides he can maybe see her as an option, and then he finally kisses her, but she can't even get the freaking words out. I don't know. I didn't like it. I thought it was weird. I was like, I would have rather she just said it and then they kissed. That would have been fine. I just didn't like that he like cut her confession off. Because it was like, let her talk. Just like, not even to him necessarily, but to like the director. I was like, just let her say it. Why is it so hard for you to just let her say it? So there's that. Okay. And then for the rest of most of Jung-hee's storyline, they kind of really did do her dirty. Like, they really gave this character a pretty rough life and she didn't really get a lot of redeeming things in her life. And I think that's why the Jung-hee apologists are so loud. It's because they really kind of treated Jung-hee like dirt. They really didn't give her a lot of great character opportunities, but then adding on top of that, when she was being difficult or unreasonable or selfish, everyone was like, I hate her. And it was like, okay, but she doesn't have a lot in her life right now. You kind of got to give her a break. It's not crazy that she'd be a little unlikable because she's had a horrible life. And it's like, I don't really think it's fair to crucify Jung-hee and then praise Young-rae. Because Young-rae is unfortunately written kind of like a perfect, innocent character. And it's a little bit annoying because it's like, no one's that perfect and no one's that self-sacrificing, and it's a little unrealistic of like, I almost would have rather the girls had gone like full throttle, like hated each other for a second, because it would have made them feel a little bit more real, but then reconciled in a way that was like very healing, because they kind of have this weird like sort of issue with each other. And then like, because the show is so dramatic, freaking Young-rae almost dies, and then Also, someone pointed this out, and it low-key kind of makes sense, but they were like, Jung-hee finally gets her moment, right? She wins this Miss Korea. They were in this beauty contest, which was a whole separate thing that was, like, so random. But she finally wins. She finally gets what she wants, right? She finally is, like, in the spotlight, and then she's about to get stabbed, and then Young-rae gets stabbed instead, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, she's so annoyed. And I was like, okay, to be fair, she also got stabbed for her friend, so it was, and also, it was a callback, because in the earlier part of the show, that had happened where Young-rae was getting essentially assaulted by their boss, who was this horrible man. He was like trying to kill her, and Jung-hee stabbed him, and that's what set off the whole like she had to leave and then the 7-year gap. And so in this way, the same manager who like is still evil, which is such a stupid side plot, but he like comes back and he's about to stab Jung-hee, but Young-rae steps instead and takes the stab instead. So it's kind of like a trade-off. But I just thought it was kind of funny that people were being like, oh my gosh, even in that moment, she takes her moment away from her. And I was like, okay, it's not that serious. Because I don't really see like Young-rae as like a horrible rival to Jung-hee. I just don't think they gave Jung-hee enough redeeming qualities to how perfect essentially they made Young-rae. And so it makes Jung-hee look worse as a character, because Young-rae is kind of written as this like frankly angelic character that's like a little bit unrealistic, because it's like no one is that nice all the time. Like, you got to be a little petty, you got to be a little bitter sometimes, you got to put a little resentment or something in there, because it's like you can't, I don't know, it is whatever, it was whatever. And again, all of it traces back to the fact that I don't think Jae-pil was worth these two baddies being in love with him. And I also don't think that the Jung-hee Jae-pil thing worked at all anyways. I don't think, I mean, there was a part of me that was kind of wanted them to be together simply because I didn't want Young-rae and Jae-pil to be together, because I didn't want her to feel like second choice. And thankfully, I think the show kind of made it in a way that didn't feel like that, because even when Jung-hee comes back and still kind of wants Jae-pil, he's kind of like, man, I'm not interested at that point, because he's just only really interested in Young-rae, even though in his big, stupid, dumb man brain, he can't figure that out. But anyways, so it's just like, I just don't think that they made him out to be likable enough to have these two people be so obsessed with him. It wasn't, there's not enough redeeming qualities about him that made me really like him. I liked half of the other male leads way more in the show. And also, okay, this is the other thing. They had too many characters in this show. They had too many potential matches, and then they didn't even end up, the matches that I wanted didn't even work out. Like the older brother of Young-rae and Jung-hee had this, like, there was something between them, and it was never really explained or really explored, and the end of the show kind of hinted at maybe there being something between them, but it was like, I would have so much rather had seen that the whole time. And they had a deep emotional connection, more than her and Jae-pil at any point in the show. I liked those two so much more. And also, I think that the other thing, and I already kind of said this, but the thing that bothered me about Jung-hee and Jae-pil especially, and the people that were so wanting them to be together, is I was like, there's never really any actual explanation of their feelings for each other. Like, Jae-pil just suddenly starts being obsessed with her, and then she's just kind of like there, and then she just kind of like is like, yeah, I guess I'll be with him. That's like, that doesn't feel authentic or romantic really at all. And like, yeah, they had shared trauma, which don't even get me started about that. So Jae-pil had an abusive father, and we just kind of brushed over it. Like, we saw that he was having a lot of issues with his dad, and he thought his dad had something to do with the death of his mom, so it was like he just kind of hated his dad. And then it's revealed that he didn't have anything to do with the death of his mom and whatever, but I was like, but he was still abusive. Did we, like, forget about that? Or is that, like, a weird, like, no, that actually didn't happen, and that's just, we just think that's what happened? Because I was like, I was under the impression that he was smacking his son around, and I'm supposed to just be like, oh, he didn't kill his wife? Oh, what a good father! Because then they, like, reconcile, and I was like, huh? And I absolutely hated the way that Jae-pil's dad talked to the stepmom. He was so mean for no reason and such a freaking douchebag. And I'm over here just watching this going, wow, I hate this guy. I hate him so much. And I'm like supposed to like suddenly, I don't know. I hated that side plot. It made no sense to me. And honestly, those moments where Jae-pil was like arguing with his dad, those were the moments I liked his character the most. That was the most of like emotion and like character. I felt like the acting that came out for the character, that I was like, okay, I actually like him now because he seems like a real person. Whereas everything else, he's just kind of like la 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 la, and I'm just like, ew, I don't care. So anyways, a disappointing show, truthfully, and I should have known the second that it was a love triangle that I was gonna get pissed off. I will say, in terms of love triangle, it wasn't that bad because it could have been a lot more tragic and more annoying. But I think that part of my issue, though, too, with the love triangle was that it was kind of weird, like I had said, how self-sacrificing the girls were in the first half. But in the second half, that friendship connection kind of petered out. And like obviously they reconciled and they made it work, but I saw a lot of comments too where people were talking, they're like, we didn't see anything. There were so many details that we didn't see about the show of why this character is over here, why this character's doing this, why this character's doing this. And it was like, oh no, you're just supposed to assume that it happened. And it's like, you have to, even in flashbacks, you've got to show people stuff. You can't just, that was why the whole young Ray J. Peel thing didn't make any sense, because it was like, we didn't even see them like fall in love. Like we knew that she liked him, but other than that, like, and I don't know, there's something, and maybe this is just me being, there's something about a grown woman not being able to tell a freaking man that she likes him that's like really not rootable. Like, I don't want to root for her because I'm just like annoyed at her. I'm like, just tell him. But then on the same time, there's a part of me that absolutely hates a grown man who is a 30-year-old man who he can't even sort his feelings out. It's so unattractive. I don't want to see that. I don't want a man who's like, maybe. Girl. Stinks. Stinky. Hate it. Anyways, all of that to say, don't waste your time watching this show. It's not worth it. And that's unfortunate because I think all the actors are really good actors, and I think that they're all incredibly good at portraying complicated characters, but good Lord, was this not a fun watch. Like, I liked it at the beginning. I thought it was a really interesting plot at the beginning, and then it just slowly, I don't know. And you know what? I'm going to say this, and I say this. I don't think I ever really liked Jung Hee either. I don't think I ever really liked her. I think her character got way too much hate, but I also think that she was written in kind of a somewhat sort of frustrating way. I think the actress slayed. I think she's an insanely good actress. I've seen her in multiple things and I've liked her in them, and I didn't dislike her performance of the show. I just didn't like her character, and I don't really know that I was a huge fan of Young Ray either, and I didn't like Jay Peel. So I mean, here we go. I didn't really like anybody, and it is really hard to finish a show when you don't root for any main character. It's really difficult. Well, let me tell you, it's really hard when you don't like your main characters. So anyways, I don't know. I shouldn't be surprised. A show that centers on a love triangle is almost always going to be trash, and I unfortunately just stick by that. Also, I need the main character of the show, the actress, Kim Demi, whatever, how you say her name. She needs to be in a show where a man is just obsessed with her. And, like, she doesn't have to, like, sit around waiting for a viable option. Because a lot of people were complaining and comparing it to this other show called Itaewon Class. And it was kind of the same vibe of, like, she had known this guy and been in love with this guy for so long. And then he finally opened his eyes and was like, maybe you could be a good option. They have such an underwhelming relationship. Which is so unfortunate because it's with Park Seo-joon. And, listen, I love that man. He is the romance king. I love him. And if he can make a relationship look mid and she can make a relationship look mid, you know that it was just bad to begin with. And there's never going to be a trope where a character, where, especially when it's a female character, wins the guy, if you will, where it doesn't feel just a little bit like a stab to, like, womanhood of, like, why am I chasing after a man? You know? And it's like, at the end of the day, I don't really... The only time I think I'm okay with a woman being, like, super, like, I'm gonna get this man is when they're super confident. When they're, like, timid and, like, I just want to meet... Girl, put it away. I don't want it. Because I want to see a woman, like, come on, get your man. Come on, girl. Don't just sit around and watch from the sidelines. Like, get your man. If you're gonna have a character doing that and pursuing a male character, it needs to be aggressive and like that, because that's how the male character would do it to the female character. So that's why it's like you need that aggression, because otherwise it just feels kind of whatever. And I know there's a whole trope of like, oh, soft female characters. Shh, whatever. We've seen a soft female character about 4 million times. I don't need to see it every time. I want a strong female character who's likable and also just like you root for them. They don't have to be perfect, but you need to root for them. And if you're watching the show just going, I don't really freaking care what happens to you, I fear you've done something wrong. And that's the same with male characters. If I'm watching a show and I just go, you're a pretty face and that's it, and I don't really simply care about you, that's not what you want. And that was what this show made me feel like. So whatever. Anyways, that's it. Okay, bye.